Was the language of Jesus?
Scholars generally agree that Aramaic was the primary language spoken by Jesus.
So, Jesus' language was Aramaic, not English. So, let's see what is the name of God in Aramaic.
In Aramaic, God is typically referred to as Eloha, Alajai in its singular form, and Alajai in the emphatic state. This word is closely related to the Hebrew word Elohim and the Arabic word Allah, reflecting the shared linguistic roots of these Semitic languages.
Okay, so Jesus spoken in Aramaic, and in Aramaic, God is called as Ilaha, which is closely resemble to Allah, how we call God. How Jesus was dressed up.
The Bible doesn't give a detailed description of Jesus' clothing. However, based on the context of the time and culture, simple and practical, Jesus likely wore simple, everyday clothing common to working-class people in first-century Judea. This would have included tunic, a loose-fitting knee-length garment worn by both men and women, mantle, a cloak or shawl worn over the tunic, providing warmth and protection, sandal.
So Jesus most probably wore a tunic, which is a loose-fitting knee-length garment. As you can see, the Muslims wear the loose dress exactly like Jesus did. How Jesus greet other people.
The Gospels describe Jesus using various greetings, reflecting the cultural norms in his own unique style. Shalom, peace. This was a common Hebrew greeting in ancient times, conveying a wish for well-being and tranquility. Jesus likely used this frequently, as it aligns with his message of peace. Peace be with you. John chapter 20, verses 19 to 20. This specific greeting holds significant meaning for Christians, as it was spoken by Jesus to his disciples after his resurrection. It emphasizes the impartation of divine peace and the presence of the Holy Spirit. Greeting.
So we can see clearly Jesus said shalom, that means peace, and Jesus also said peace be with you. As we Muslims say assalamu alaikum, that means peace be upon you. Thank you. How Mary, the mother of Jesus, dressed up.
The Bible doesn't give us a lot of detail about Mary's clothing, but we can make some educated guesses based on the time period and her social status. Simple and modest. Mary likely wore simple, modest clothing common for women of her time and social class in Judea. Think of a long, loose-fitting tunic or dress with sleeves, head covering. It's possible she wore a headscarf or veil, which was a common practice for Jewish women at the time.
So Mary, the mother of Jesus, most likely wear a loose-fitting garment, which symbolizes her modesty, and she also most probably wearing a headscarf or a veil, which was common practice at that time for the Jewish women. So as you can see, this code of dress is most similar how the Muslim women wear the hijab and burqa nowadays. So we can proudly say we are the true follower of Jesus and mother of Jesus, Mary or Maryam. Thank you. Did Jesus taught the oneness of God?
Yes, Jesus taught the oneness of God, Shema. He affirmed the Shema, the central Jewish prayer. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. This unequivocally states the oneness of God.
So Jesus definitely taught the oneness of God. He said, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the God is one. It is mentioned in Bible as in Quran Surah Ikhlas states, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allah is one. So we believe exactly how the Jesus believed in God. Did Jesus prostrate during his prayer?
The Bible describes one instance where Jesus prostrated himself in prayer. Matthew chapter 26, verse 39. Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed.
So in Bible it is mentioned that Jesus definitely prostrated when he prayed. It says going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed. So Jesus prayed exactly how the Muslim pray, and he prostrated when he prayed to God. Was Jesus circumcised?
Yes, Jesus was circumcised. Luke chapter 2, verse 21. This verse in the Gospel of Luke states that Jesus was circumcised on the 8th day after his birth, in accordance with Jewish law.
So, as we can see, that Jesus was definitely circumcised, as Muslims do circumcision, but the followers of Jesus, the Christians, they don't do the circumcision as a religious practice. Did Jesus pray to God?
Yes, the Gospels consistently portray Jesus as praying to God. Frequent prayer. The Gospels describe numerous instances of Jesus praying, both privately and publicly. Relationship with God. Jesus' prayers reveal his deep and intimate relationship with God, whom he often refers to as Father. Examples. The Lord's Prayer. Jesus taught his disciples a model prayer, demonstrating the importance of communication with God. Prayer in Gethsemane. Jesus prayed intensely in the Garden of Gethsemane before his arrest, demonstrating his human vulnerability and reliance on God's will.
So clearly, Jesus prayed to God. So definitely, Jesus cannot be God because God cannot pray to another God. And look at his prayer rituals, how he prayed. The Gospel describes numerous instances that Jesus prayed both publicly and privately. As we Muslims do the public prayer, like pray in Jamaat, and private prayer, like pray in our home. And also, Jesus taught his disciples how to pray. And you can see in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus prayed to his God to save himself from the arrest. That also proves that Jesus is not God. Did Jesus eat pork?
The Bible does not explicitly state whether Jesus ate pork, Jewish dietary laws. As a Jew, Jesus would have been familiar with the dietary laws of the Old Testament, which prohibited the consumption of pork.
So, as we learn that it is not explicitly mentioned in Bible whether he ate pork or not, but he was a Jew. So, according to Jewish law, that Jew cannot eat pork. So, most probably, Jesus never ate pork.